Survivor fans, and welcome back to Australian Survivor Talking Tribal, the show that breaks down the big moves and blindsides of Brains versus Brawn. I'm your host, Nathan Morris, and before we dive into it, let's make sure that you're up to date with the latest episodes of Australian Survivor. We don't want to spoil anything. If you haven't caught up, you can watch every episode on 10 Play on demand. Joining me, as always, is Survivor superfan and now my good friend, Shannon Gus. Hi, Shan.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you think that we're good friends. I agree.
Thank you.
I'm sad this week. I'm sad to lose Simon, especially. Like, what a great character, but what a massive blindside, historical blindside.
I cannot wait to get into Code Sandra Bullock. And we thought we'd give this castaway a break from swallowing flies in the outback. Everybody, it's Nick Iadanza. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you so much for having me. Yes, I ate a lot of flies out there. They weren't very delicious, but you know what was delicious?
What?
An epic blindside at the end of this week. Sad, but delicious.
Oh, it was bloody good, I can tell you that much. It's great to have you on the show, Nick. You've been on the set with Brains versus Brawn. Was Jonathan surprised to see your face again?
Look, he loves me, I'm sure. He's never really said that. But it doesn't matter because wherever he goes around the globe, I follow him. Fiji, Samoa, the Outback. It's like he just does not know where I'm going to pop up next.
Yeah, that's called stalking, Nick. It's actually illegal. Now, before the three of us dive deep into the game, let's have a recap of what happened on Australian Survivor this week. It's been 20 days in the Aussie Outback, and our tribe mates are feeling the heat. At the reward challenge, Jonathan offers a delicious prize like no other.
From the Survivor Taco Cart.
A taco stand wasn't the only surprise waiting back at camp.
Are you back? Hello!
After losing the immunity challenge,
Brawn!
tensions arise within the Brains tribe.
G.
Yeah, done. I'm glad that caucus meeting is over. Let's go to Parliament.
Yep.
The Majority Alliance take control,
Georgia.
and Georgia is sent packing. The next day, Hayley discovers that Danny has a few tricks up her sleeve.
Play the alpha, get close to the alpha, get rid of the alpha. Like I'm gonna need help to pull it off.
Yeah.
Staying true to their name,
Lines it up.
Brawn win another immunity challenge, sending Brains to Tribal Council. Emmett uses his power over the tribe to target Rachel,
Pick them off one by one, man. That's the plan.
but she won't go down without a fight.
We can flip that, George, and we can turn this whole game that's happening here upside down.
Jonathan reads out the votes, and it's Rachel who's going home.
Rachel, did you bring your torch?
Yo! Who's gonna bring home the chockies? And he does! Brains win reward!
The Brain tribe earn themselves a sweet trip to the candy shop. Cara digs in and discovers a clue.
So this may change everything.
At the Brawn camp, Danny has plans to throw the immunity challenge.
So, between you and I, Simon, he has 2 idols. Thinking about throwing the challenge. Let your guys know, because mine are on board.
Okay.
Yep.
Come on, guys, doing great.
Trying to get it to stick.
Hold it.
3, 2, 1, that's it!
All goes according to plan, and Brawn are sent to Tribal Council. Simon is set on voting out Flick,
I need her gone before she gives me the flick.
but little does he know that it's his name that's on the chopping block. Hayley suggests a backup plan.
I don't want Flick to be collateral damage. I want it to be Danny.
Cara and George join Tribal Council,
Simon.
and in an Australian Survivor first,
Simon.
Simon is sent packing
Simon.
with 2 immunity idols in his pocket.
Simon.
Blindside. Well done, guys.
Sorry.
One thing's for sure, Jonathan certainly knows how to sell a margarita. Nick, let's go to the beginning, right? So Simon thinks he's sitting on top of the tribe, but Hayley is calling a lot of the shots. Who do you think is leading Team Brawn?
100% Hayley. I think she's just got this perfect way she finesses the game. And I think that one of the words she used at Tribal Council sums up her game perfectly. She said delicate. It seems delicate, but it's actually really, really clever the way she's controlling everyone.
Yeah, I think that she's super inclusive. That's the difference. What do you think, Shannon?
I mean, if you look at her game, just socially, she's worked with everyone in the game. She was in the majority on OG Brains, and then she worked with the minority to turn against them. Now, on the next tribe, she has worked with, obviously, she's united the Brains that maybe she had fractured a little bit. She's brought them all back together. Then she has a fake alliance with Simon, Danny, and Chelsea, and a real alliance with Flick. She's working with everyone, so her social game is amazing. She sees the game so clearly, and the way that she then dictates strategy, it's actually beautiful to watch.
Oh, her demeanour is something that I haven't seen on this series before. She just comes in like the silent killer, but she's so super intelligent, isn't she, Nick?
Absolutely. I love watching the little moments that characterize her as this silent assassin. One of the moments I loved is that when Rachel says to her, "Oh, it's going to be me," this is in the post-challenge huddle, she says, "It's going to be me." You just hear Hayley say, "Well, throw some mud around, tell some lies." And it's just the perfect way that she says it with a smile, shows she's always thinking. And I love that she actually volunteers to sit out of challenges. Hayley is undoubtedly one of the strongest people on that tribe, but by sitting out, she is lowering herself in terms of the totem pole of the tribe.
Definitely.
So she never actually stands out like an Emmett or a Simon. Yeah. She just has this game, I think she understands the game perfectly.
Now, Shannon, what about Hayley deciding to work with Flick? What do you think about that situation? Smart move?
It was such a good move. I mean, as I've said, that she's been working with every single person, so of course she has to bring Flick in. And that seems like quite a genuine alliance. We see that she really puts herself out there to save Flick later in the week with the making sure that she wasn't collateral on the split vote. So, again, just a brilliant social game from her. She lays it out very logically as well, why would we go for a 3 when we could go for a 1? And I think Flick, reads that quite genuinely and is grateful for her to kind of reach out an arm there.
Do you agree, Nick?
Absolutely. If I was out there and I was in the 4 and I had to choose to work with a 3 or a 1, I'm not isolating that 1 when I still have the majority over the 3. Well, first of all, if you isolate that one person, all it takes is the fear that they have an idol and it's undermined your entire plan. And by going with the 1 and leaving the 3 out, you now have a buffer to get yourself to the merge. So I think that she made the perfect play, and I think Flick and Hayley are a really good team.
Oh, I'm just so impressed. Hayley seems to be playing chess moves 4 plays ahead. It's unbelievable what she's doing. I want to talk about Emmett, right? He is amazing at the at the challenges. He is a machine. What do you think about his control of the tribe, Shan?
I never thought I'd say this, but I thought Emmett was really good this week strategically. I thought he was absolutely the best on Brains. I thought he was good at handling Kez and having a lot of logic in that, saying, don't go against OG Brawn, while still trying to give her a bit of autonomy and handling her quite delicately, I thought. There's that word again. And then I thought that his decision to throw the challenge was really, really smart. He was trying to prevent what ended up happening to Simon at the end of this week. It made a lot of sense. They had a lot of options and control on that tribe. My only thing is why he didn't finish the job, keep going with it. I mean, obviously, you could maybe be scared that Laura has an idol, as no one in his alliance seems to have an idol, and she became the only option. But I would have definitely run through. We could have had a bit of a throw-off of both tribes trying to throw that challenge at the end. Not sure what would have happened there, but I really liked the move from him, and I thought he was on point pretty much the whole week.
All I wanted was to see both tribes try to throw a challenge. That would have been hilarious, and for 2 days, because no one's the winner.
Exactly.
Nick, what do you think about Emmett? What do you think about Emmett and his control?
Look, I think that Emmett has a good natural read of the game. I think that he is very in your face about it. He does make a lot of unilateral decisions, but I do think that that's virtue of playing with Kez and Gerald, and I think that they are much more under the radar, happy to go with the flow. I think that they all wear their hearts on their sleeve. You could see that when they lost the challenge, it looked like they had just come back from a bachelor party or something. They were cheering. Kez was jauntily skipping over to the other tribes. You just lost, Kez. You need to kind of play it a little bit better there. But I really like that Emmett is thinking ahead. The only thing I didn't like is that he was literally cleaning his nails while he was supposed to be doing the puzzle.
It's like Emmett.
Hey, you don't want dirty nails, okay? So maybe it's legitimate.
I want to talk about the decision whether to stick with your alliance or not. Say in the matter of Kez. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that this is not a decision for Kez to flip to rocks for people you've already voted against 2 times. You kind of just met against your alliance. I would say there's not much of a decision there. The only reason I thought this had a remote chance of happening is because this cast is completely chaotic and I don't know what they're going to do next. So I thought maybe, but as Emmett said, and he was right this whole week apparently, it would have been survivor suicide. It wouldn't have been a great move. And I thought to seem so wishy-washy, to describe yourself as Play-Doh, I mean, if I was your allies, I wouldn't really like that. I wouldn't find a lot of faith in that. Where Emmett maybe upset the other alliance and became a target for them in ways by acting so strong to his alliance, that could have some problems. Maybe if they're going to idle someone out, it might be you. But if I was his allies, I'd be pretty happy with how loyal he's been and how strong he's been. So I was on his side in that way as well.
I know, the Play-Doh call, that was unbelievable. To say that at Tribal Council, what did you think about
I'm
Kez?
Extremely disloyal. Like, no, like, I don't know which way I'm going to vote. I don't think allies enjoy hearing that.
I can be bought by anyone. Nick, what do you think about Kez?
Yeah, exactly. Like, people can form me into any shape they want. I'm not toxic and children can eat me. I thought that Kez, if she had flipped, it would have been one of the all-time worst moves in Survivor history. To flip to tie? Like he's not, you're not even flipping getting your way. Like, by flipping, she puts herself directly in the line of fire with the rock situation. I really wanted her to do it. And I thought, like Shannon said, that there was an outside chance that she would have. I certainly, as a player, would never, ever, 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 ever have done that. But I was hoping she did.
Okay, well, Nick, I want to talk about the anatomy of a split vote. Tell me about that. You've been in Survivor.
Yeah, I've been involved in many split votes in my time. I think what's really important is when a split vote is being decided, it's usually one person who's deciding, okay, these 4 people vote that name and these 3 people vote that name. When you are trying to figure out your place in the tribe, take note of which group you're in. If you are placed in the group that has the majority of the numbers, you're the person that the tribe can rely on. You're the person who the tribe doesn't think is going to flip their vote at the last minute. You are the solid number. If they don't trust you, you'll be put as the backup vote, because even if you do decide to do something tricky, it's never going to actually have a difference. And I've been involved in many split votes, and I always, like George did, try to put myself in a place where if I want to flip at the last minute, I can. I think back to what Harry and I did at the beginning of All Stars. But if you're not trusted and you don't get to make the decision, big red flag, your tribe doesn't trust you.
I'm really confused with George and his decision whether to split the vote or not, because he had a chance to get rid of Emmett, right? He ended up going with Rachel. But then in the next episode, we see that he decides that he wants to start targeting Emmett. Shannon, do you think he should have split then, or do you think he should have waited like he has now?
Well, I think, as Nick's saying, when you put yourself on the majority of the split vote, at least he gives himself the option. And I love the way that, as you're saying, Nick, who's on each side, you try and make it look really natural. You put the girls on the second, and I'm not a girl, so that worked out. And then you put someone really wishy-washy like Kez on the second, which I also thought was really smart. So I love that George is clearly thinking about it at that level. I don't think that he should have flipped as the split vote without Kara. I think, going back to a 3-3 without your number 1 ally would have been a really bad move. But I do think he should have brought Kara into flip here, because as he says, he knows he's on the bottom. We don't know when merge is. It was looking like they were going to lose a lot of challenges until Brawn decided to throw the challenge. So I would be really worried if I was him. And we're at very, very similar numbers with a slight OG Brains majority of these OG tribes. And I think that could have meaning. So I do think he should have flipped here with Kara. But I think as well, like, Survivor is a social game, and he's had no love lost with Laura and with Rachel, and I think that really does matter.
Nick, what do you think?
Look, I disagree. I think that he should definitely not have flipped. Obviously, if he flipped with Kara, then that makes it better, but there was no intention of him telling Kara. You should never isolate your number 1 alliance just to kind of, like, control a vote. Allies are more important than slight perceived, power of actually running one tribal council. If he flips, not only has he isolated Kara, he then has Gerald and Kez, who are going to be absolutely fuming at him. Absolutely fuming. They've already lived through a blindside where Big D was lost, someone that they liked. They are not going to take this lying down. The first thing they're going to do is go to Laura and Rachel. And Laura and Rachel have had a very checkered past with George. I could see it very easily them saying, okay, cool, we're the new full majority. Let's get rid of George and Kara. Oh, well, I think he made the right decision.
Let's go on to Laura, right? Does Laura have like 9 lives? Let's talk about her. Can she still save herself from being eliminated?
I mean, it doesn't seem so. It really seems like this should be it. But you never know how it's going to go. We have seen George approach her. I think it's a little late in the numbers now, but you never know. And also, I think the Simon blindside is going to absolutely have a ripple effect across both tribes. Will Brawn want to stay together? Will Kez and Emmett realize that their former allies and Simon and Flick are totally at odds? Will this fracture something here? So I think that could save her, but she does seem like an easy pre-merge boot before we move on to the next phase of the game.
Yeah. All right, guys. More on that later. But first, let's take a quick break because we've got so much more to talk about. Welcome back. This week, Nick got the chance to speak to Simon about his shocking elimination. It was amazing. Let's take a look.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exit interview. And this one hurts. This one hurts the heart a little bit because I'm here with Simon. Simon, what? How did this happen? How? Why am I talking to you?
Oh man, yeah, I did not want to be talking to you this early. What a roller coaster I've been on to get myself here and to end up talking to you with these little bad boys in my hands.
You've got them. Yeah.
I've got them.
Simon, a big part of your game this season was this rivalry with Shannon. It's kind of like it was from day one. How did this come about? What is the genesis? What's the origin story?
I mean, first of all, I have to say she is such a lovely and a nice human, and I absolutely love my time in camp with her. She had such a good heart and was really good at bringing people around her. But look, I had an opportunity very early on in this game to bring a lot of people around me and to solidify myself in a majority and take myself through the merge with numbers. And that was a calculated decision that I was willing to take. Outside of that, Shannon was the one, or really the only one in my eyes, who knew the game, could pull the numbers together and actually wrangle that against me. And so she just kind of became the first target. We obviously took that first swing and had that first miss, and then the rest was kind of history from there. But it actually ended up being the right call, because if you see Shannon's pre-game interview, she was out for a battle of the sexes, and me falling into that alpha male role, she was already coming for me before the show even started. But if I had my time again, Shannon and I could have worked together and we would have run that tribe.
All right, so you're a big fan. You've watched people find hidden immunity idols so many times on Survivor. What's it like to find one and then to find another one? Sorry to bring them up.
Probably the right time to be putting these bad boys on. As a full fanboy of the show, to find one idol was amazing, but then to find the second was like, it was beyond my wildest dreams. I realized that I was going to have to fight for every inch in this game. And for a player like me, I don't have the luxury of being able to fly under the radar. So it was just such a game changer for me. But I knew at the same time I couldn't get ahead of myself. I still, it's great to have them, but you can still be as vulnerable as I, did find out. And in the back of my mind, I'm just thinking, do not go home with two. Do not go home with two. Do not go home with two. And here we are.
One of the things that your tribe, and including Haley, came up with was this idea of throwing the challenge, this final immunity challenge that you didn't participate in. Did you think that was happening? Did you think it was a possibility, or was that just like a complete blindside as well?
Yes, it was a blindside when we threw the challenge at that moment. When it actually happened at the time, I was furious, watching them. Okay, I can't believe I was part of a tribe that threw an immunity challenge. I don't think that's actually happened in an immunity challenge before. So, it was mind-blowing, but here I am. It was led by Danny, and Danny's the one who I'm so loyal to, and so like, you know, she's the one I need to trust. And then I couldn't voice my fury or my disappointment. I just had to be like, well, you know, this is Danny, and you know, she's in my alliance, so I guess I trust and respect my alliance's decision. I didn't realize that I was the collateral coming out of that.
So you mentioned feeling heartbroken by this blindside. Have you had a chance to chat with Danny since? And you know, what's the healing process been like there after being so savagely blindsided by your
It's one thing to be blindsided by your tribe, but it's another thing to be blindsided by your own alliance, and it's really heartbreaking. Like when I was loyalty was a big part of my game. I mean, being a big player, you have to show vulnerability to show trust. And you know, that's why I did tell them about Second Idol, which ended up being, you know, to my own detriment. But I guess from here, I hope that, you know, Danny either goes on to win or she's next out. Like I hope that it was either the best decision or the worst decision for her.
So which is the move of yours that you're most proud of?
Yeah. Okay. There are two moves which really stand out for me.
Okay.
And the first is the Benny vote. That was a huge play to be able to talk my way through that one. And oh man, I think it was a massive mistake, to be honest. Like, you know, you've got to, you know, it was obviously to Shannon's detriment. But I think the second is definitely putting the nail in Shannon's coffin. And I just think it was, you know, it was just so perfectly executed in the heat of the moment. You know, the Tribal Council really brings out the best players. So I'm just so glad that I was able to pull that off so seamlessly there.
Well, thank you, Simon. You are an absolute legend. And I'm excited to see what happens after your shock exit from the game.
Oh, Nick, the OG Snake, it's been an absolute pleasure, my man. Thank you very much for having me on.
Welcome back. We just heard Simon chat about his time in the Outback. He's the first contestant in Australian Survivor history to walk away with 2 idols in his pocket. Shannon, did you see this coming?
I think Simon is such a huge character. He seemed a little destined for a big fall. I don't know if I saw it with 2 idols or in the pre-merge so early. A massive credit to Hayley for pulling this off. I think it was a terrible move for Danny, but they got it done.
Oh, and also now he's got one for each bedside table lamp, which I think will be a lovely matching set. I want to know how big of a blindside was Simon's elimination in the context of Survivor history? Talk to me about that, Nick.
Look, obviously it's happened a couple of times before in the US Survivor, but in terms of Australian Survivor, this is as big as it gets, right? I was devastated for Simon. I loved Simon as a character. He knows the game. He wanted to be there so badly. But, like, it was just too juicy of a carrot for Danny. And, of course, Hayley's going to pounce on that.
Now, what is the strategy of going into individual awards like the candy shop? Nick, I'll get you to take this one first because I remember you guys basically drove a bulldozer through yours to look for idols, and this one seemed like they sort of left the place quite intact.
Yeah, like I loved watching Kez stuff her face with snakes and then dip their hands in the chocolate, but we had completely eviscerated the cake shop last time. I think the strategy is this. One, you have to plan for the fact that you might get one of these rewards where it's the 7-minute allocation. Plan beforehand. Speak with your alliance. How are we going to decide who goes first? Because you want to go in the first couple. Maybe not first, but I reckon 2 or 3 is the sweet spot. And if you don't find anything, destroy, destroy, destroy.
Shannon, wouldn't you have tipped out that entire bowl of white chocolate?
I don't know. I feel like I have some decorum in life, whether there are people watching me in live. Like, I know Nick can't speak to that. Every year on Nick's birthday now, I post a GIF of him just going to town on a pile of cakes. And that is a gift that Australian Survivor has given me, but I think I have some shame. Maybe some other people don't.
Now, I want to talk about Danny working with Hayley to get out the alpha. Do you think that was a smart move, or do you think that was a massive mistake, Shan?
I think we've immediately seen how bad a move this was. Like, she thinks she's in control, but she's not. And I love the idea of Hayley blindsiding Danny as she blindsides Simon. Like, Danny needs Simon and his idols. I know it's a big threat, but right now she really needs that. She thinks she can replace that relationship with Hayley and the Brains, but she has misread that. And we saw that so immediately because clearly she's not very important to Hayley's plans. And I think Hayley made a really necessary move to protect Flick as that collateral because there was the real chance that Simon would play one of his two idols and she would go home. She shows that she's in control. And I think Danny is heading back to camp right now, knowing she made a massive mistake, got rid of a really important relationship, and now she's probably next to go on that tribe.
I do have to say, nothing made my heart sing more than Code Sandra Bullock. I love a Sandra Bullock reference. I love a Sandra Bullock movie. Nick, what did you think about the Sandra Bullock Blindside?
It felt like not Sandra Bullock Blindside. It felt like Sandra Bullock Bird Box. Like that was because Danny was blinded. She was blinded by the fact that she wanted to build her resume. Danny, you are at the pre-merge. Even if you get to the end, you have plenty of other chances to build your resume. It was so short-sighted. The margins between Brain and Brawn are so razor thin that you need someone who's got two idols on your side, because if they've got two, they're more than willing to play. They're perhaps more willing to play one on a very close ally. Completely bad move, and Hayley flipped the script perfectly.
Now, yes, Shan?
You could get a lot of Sandra Bullock movies. The Proposal, Hayley was kind of proposing it to Danny. Like, we could really just go through the whole catalogue.
Miss Congeniality and Miss Congeniality 2.
Exactly.
Speed, because it was like
franchise.
It was a bus crashing into Danny's future in the game.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I want to know, does George and Cara attending Tribal Council affect Brawn's strategy? Because that could have been a huge spanner in the works hadn't Baden been able to communicate what their plan was. What do you think, Shan?
I mean, credit to Baden for getting it done. Clearly it didn't spook Simon enough to play one of his two idols. I probably would have just left them to their own devices. There's nothing they could have done other than put 2 votes on Flick, which would have sent it to a revote that they would have had the majority in anyway. So I would have left it to their own devices, but credit to Baden for getting it done, and they just absolutely nailed it at every single point of this plan in terms of Hayley, Baden, and the former Brains.
Did it make you nervous, Nick?
Definitely, but I disagree with Shannon, because I think that yes, it didn't matter what they did, because even if they did spook him, we lose an idol and Danny goes home anyway. The Brains get what they want. But what was more important in that moment is connecting with people who could potentially be your allies in 2 or 3 days when you go to merge. So that window of opportunity to chat to someone and prove your loyalty to them in the voting booth, you don't get that in the run-up to merge. You never see the other tribe at Tribal Council. So I thought that they took the opportunity perfectly to at least solidify, come merge, hey, maybe we can get back on the same page here.
What about a round of applause for Jonathan for letting that just happen, Baden's little whisper just happen instead of calling it out? It was amazing stuff from him.
And they have every part of the plan covered. As you said, even if they do spook him, Danny is still going home. So I think, look, as we've said, Hayley is just running circles around everyone else. It couldn't really go poorly. Whichever way she decided to go, she was going to have success. So that's a credit to her.
Now, let's talk about Hayley. She made the decision to split the vote between Danny and Simon, which was huge. Do you think it's going to have consequences, Nick?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Danny now knows, okay, they are not with me. Whether Danny can cobble something together is a different story. But I wanted to ask you guys this.
Yeah.
Do you think Hayley and the Brains on the tribe can blame the 3 votes on Danny on Flick, Cara, and George? Because if they can, maybe they can mitigate Danny's kind of anger.
Oh, you clever little teacher. No, well, I reckon that's great. What do you think, Shan?
I mean, that's kind of a brilliant idea. It's not something that you usually are able to do because you don't usually have 2 people who voted not come back with you to camp. So that would be amazing if they could do that and just have, like, more of that subterfuge. Either way, I think they're okay because, again, Danny's probably gone next. She has almost no allies in the game. I'm sure she is coming back to camp absolutely fuming. But I wonder if this is, like, the maddest someone's ever been, the most blindsided someone's ever been when they actually controlled this blindside in some ways. Like, she got out her target. She led that plan. And so she comes back to camp so blindsided. I think that's a really interesting dynamic.
Now, I tell you what, though, I just want to say Simon's busted thong on the way to voting. He should have listened to the sign.
The thong knows.
Always listen to your thongs. Look, as we know, Merge is approaching and the tribe mates are starting to think about their long-term game. Stay tuned because after the break, I chat with Luke Toki about all things Merge. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Australian Survivor Talking Tribal. We've got Luke Toki joining us on set. Hey Luke.
Hey Nath, how are you?
Fantastic. How is that shirt?
It is very golden.
Yeah, the golden god threw that in the bin, didn't you? Look, it's not long before we see the tribe mates drop their team buffs and merge as one. So what was going through your head before merge?
Well, you want to make merge. Merge is the ideal place to be because then it becomes an individual game. This is where you can rely on a lot of your social relationships that you've built, you know, pre-merge. And now it comes down to individual challenges and hoping those relationships work for you if you don't win the immunity necklace.
So, before merge, is it really important to catch moments with the other team so you've got something to build on?
That's exactly why they have tribe swaps. They have these cross-tribe interactions. So this is where those small little interactions, whether you're talking down to someone cross-tribe in a challenge, whether you're sitting there, you know, saying derogatory things to other players, whatever it is, little snippets from other contestants kind of come into play now.
Oh, okay, that's some groundwork, isn't it? Now, what advice would you give the Brain and Brawn tribes at this point?
Oh, okay, all right. So this is where you need to work.
Yeah.
A lot of players don't realise, but nighttime survivor play is where it happens.
Nighttime?
Nighttime. So what happens is you've only got certain hours during the day, but at nighttime a lot of people go to sleep. So you've got a short amount of time to build these cross-tribe relations, and you need to build it quick. And especially when it comes to merge, you're always going to favour and go with someone that you've spent more time with. Yeah. Whether you're talking about life, whether you're talking about the game, whatever that is. And so whoever's doing the work at night right now, especially coming to merge, it's going to be fruitful for them pushing on forward.
So a lot of things happening behind shrubs in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all recorded, remember.
Of course.
They record you when you sleep.
Let's not talk about your weekend. Is there any way that you can prepare yourself for merge? What can you do?
Well, look, you know, especially the Brawn tribe, if you've won a lot of rewards by now, you're coming into merge quite healthy.
Yep.
You're coming together, you know, if you've got a minority alliance, you might need to just pull a few players across and then all of a sudden you have majority. But so what happens is the first vote come merge is the most important.
Yeah.
Really, really important. You want to make sure you're on the right side of the numbers because as soon as you fall on the wrong side, it can... you know, things can go bad really quickly for you because you become pickings.
Yeah, right. So what's the biggest difference between like working in a team and playing by yourself? Do your strategies have to change or what?
Yeah, you'll find that strategies change quite quickly when it comes to merge. So you have to use all the information you've got to try to make the best decision you can to get you to the end and rely on those relationships and those trusts. But you'll find trust gets burnt quickly when it comes to merge because there's less people.
So what goes through your head when you make it to that special time in the game when you hear the words, drop your buffs? I'm guessing a little bit of panic would go in because I would want to try and make a relationship or a move as quick as I could.
Yeah, it is that. I think the first thing is like I've done something that I never thought I could.
Yeah, right.
You know, it really is a sense of accomplishment, you know. I feel like irrelevant of how you place after that, but getting your merge buff also secures yourself in jury, which jury helps decompress you after a game because it's so exhausting. So I think it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, but you know the game's about to start.
Is it also exciting to get a fresh buff because your old buff stinks?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is it. Small thing.
I'm so upset. It's almost time for us to go, but first we're going to award an imaginary trophy for the biggest play of the week. Shannon, my friend, where is your award going?
I gave it to her last week. I'm going to have to give it again to Hayley for the blind side of the blind side. She's honestly one of the best players I've seen in a while. She is incredible at this game. But I also kind of want to call out Emmett because I thought he was on point for a lot of this week. I didn't expect that to happen, but he was good.
And Nick, what about you?
Oh, look, undoubtedly Hayley, but I'm going to snap off the little pointy bit at the top of the trophy and give that to Baden, who I think is a really good Alliance member. I love what he did at Tribal Council, and I just love that he is so in lockstep with Hayley. Let's hope that we can see that continue.
I mean, Hayley, hands down, she is amazing. But let's talk about Laura's hair, guys. I want to give her a special award for grooming. When she put her hand through her hair and her hand came out black, that was disgusting, Nick. Did you ever get that dirty?
Absolutely. I just don't have the hair.
What about you, Shannon? You're that dirty now?
Oh, no, I was going to Nick's that. I mean, as I've said, I would not jump face first into cake, and Nick would. So we're asking him how dirty he would get. I think we've seen it.
There was cake everywhere.
A big thank you to Shannon, Nick, and Luke. Thanks, guys. Keep watching Australian Survivor Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays at 7:30 on 10. And a new Australian Survivor Talking Tribal episode will drop every Tuesday night on 10 Play or on your favourite podcast app. Now, here's the moment that you've all been waiting for. A little sneak peek of what's to come on Australian Survivor. See you next week.